Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. I am going to marry my passion for luxury designer items along with my passion for money management. So I know they're two seemingly very different topics, but I think I'll be pulling them together for you guys in a way that will be interesting and fun. So I hope you stick around. And if you are new to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe and join the fun. Okay, so as a woman, I am a big believer in empowering ourselves with the right information and knowledge. And specifically when it comes to money management, I feel like it's really important for us to be informed so that we can make wise money decisions, right? Anything that has to do with money management. And I'm talking, that could mean how to reduce your debt, how to eliminate your debt, how to find the best interest rates, finding the best investment opportunities, finding the best deals, finding the sales. All of that to me is money management, because at the end of the day, what that means is you're taking your hard-earned money and you're stretching it as far as it can go. Like, I have these small little tactics that I use that may seem silly, but as an example, I have 2 children, and children are expensive, and they grow very quickly. So what I do is when I shop for their clothes, I usually purchase their winter clothes in the summer when they're all on sale, and then I purchase their summer clothes in the winter when those are all on sale. So it's not a hard and fast rule, but I generally stick to that because I can buy their clothes at a fraction of the original prices, and my children don't care, they don't mind. There's still a great selection. So those small little tactics are what I use on a day-to-day basis to stretch my dollar and also to have more savings that I can put towards things that are more important. So with that being said, I wanted to share that I have been actively trading in the stock market since about the age of 22. Right after I graduated college, I started working full-time and I started dabbling in the stock market without knowing a whole lot, but I did do a lot of research and I just kind of self-taught myself, and I've remained active over the last, I guess, 18 years or so. Full disclaimer, full disclosure, I am not a finance professional. I have never worked in the finance industry, nor do I ever plan to. I don't think that it suits my temperament, but I do have a personal perspective on investing in the stock market, and I'm just really passionate about saving and investing. So I hope that this topic is of interest to you, specifically because I'm going to talk about LVMH, Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, which is the publicly traded company that owns the brand that we all love so much, Louis Vuitton. And I am not an investor of LVMH, but I am now recently starting to think maybe I should consider buying some shares of the company, because I read this fascinating article in the November issue of the Forbes magazine, and I learned so much, and I want to share with you some of the key nuggets that I learned from this article and really, I guess, open up a dialogue to see if any of you are invested or considering investing. What does that mean? I feel like basically we are shifting from consumer mindset to investor mindset, and that could be really fun and interesting for us. So the man on this cover here, his name is Bernard Arnault. I would have never known who he was, even if I ran into him. He's the owner of LVMH. He is currently 70 years old. He is a French native who basically, he did not start LVMH, but he owns it now, and he's the one that pretty much built it up into the empire that it is. LVMH owns roughly about 80 brands now, not even including the fact that they recently acquired Tiffany & Co. So that's kind of fresh news. We'll have to see how that goes. They paid a huge chunk of money to own Tiffany & Co. But here it says that Bernard Arnault is the $100 billion man, and that is no exaggeration. So there are 3 top billionaires in the world right now. The first one is Jeff Bezos, who is the founder of Amazon. He is worth approximately $110 billion. Then number 2 is Bill Gates, the genius behind Microsoft, and he, I believe, is worth about $106 billion. And then in the third spot is this man right here, our Louis Vuitton guy. He's at about $102 billion, although give or take, I'm sure Those numbers have fluctuated a little bit with the Tiffany & Co. acquisition. But anyway, he sits in the same stratosphere as Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos. So how amazing is that? So aside from the background on him, and there is some fascinating stuff about him, which I can put in a separate video, otherwise it will get too long. But if you look at the numbers for LVMH, their revenues in 2018 were $54 billion, which is a lot of money. But more importantly, their revenues have been going up year over year with really healthy performance. So right now, one share in LVMH costs roughly about $93. So I think that if you're watching this channel, you probably have $93 to invest in LVMH. You can buy one share, you can buy 10 shares, you can buy more. We are entitled to purchase any of the shares because it's publicly traded. We have access. If you open up an online trading account, which is free, you can start trading. And nowadays, almost all of the online trading platforms do not charge commission fees. They used to up until about a year ago, and they've gotten rid of them to become more competitive. So you can buy and sell and make those trades without paying any commissions, and you would just be paying for the share price. So in this case, again, for LVMH, that's roughly about $93. And you can be a part owner of LVMH. Now, if you are a consumer of Louis Vuitton like I am, like literally this is my entire Louis Vuitton collection. This is it. I'm very proud of it. I'm happy to have these items. I may or may not be adding to it, but I'm never going to be one of those YouTubers that have humongous collections. I don't really even like the word collection because I feel like it gives off the vibe that I'm not collecting items, I'm using them and enjoying them. So I am, though, a consumer of Louis Vuitton, and it makes me think, if I'm buying products from Louis Vuitton, then if I become an investor of the company that owns it, LVMH, I would essentially be paying myself back, right? Because you're paying into the company that you partly own. It's very kind of circular if you think about it. And a lot of people out there, even really, really savvy, very experienced investors, there are all kinds of rules and do's and don'ts, but a lot of them say, I simply invest in companies that I believe in and that I use, that I'm a customer of. So along those lines, I'm feeling like if we are consumers of Louis Vuitton, then maybe it's, worthwhile considering looking at them from an investment standpoint. Okay, so I'm just looking at my notes here because I have so much stuff that I want to share with you. So I mentioned that LVMH owns about 80 different brands. Their revenues in 2018 were about $54 billion. The revenues from Louis Vuitton alone made up 23% of the revenues. So that's about $12.5 billion worth of the total company's revenues. But I think much more important than revenues is profits, what's left at the end of the day. And if you look at the profits, it's crazy because Louis Vuitton makes up nearly 50% of the profits for the entire company. So I'm going to show you here. There's a chart in here that I think is fascinating. So here Louis Vuitton, or I should say LVMH, breaks their brands up in these different categories. 5 different categories. So they put Louis Vuitton in the fashion and leather category, and it says here $12.4 billion. This is revenue. However, if you read the full article, the profits from Louis Vuitton make up basically half of this chart. So what does that say? That says that the success and performance of LVMH largely, not entirely, but largely hinges on the performance of Louis Vuitton, who we drive that because we are the consumers, aren't we, right? So the question is, do we believe that Louis Vuitton as a brand will continue to flourish, will continue to grow? Will people continue to buy into the brand? If we think so, then knowing that this right here makes up half of the profits of the entire company, I think is a compelling point to consider. Also, the profit margins have been expanding. So not only has the revenues gone up and the profits gone up, but the profit margins are expanding. Now, as a consumer, that may not be good news for us because that could mean that they're just charging higher prices. And so the cost that the cost of making the goods, and then the cost that we pay is, the gap is just getting wider and wider. So that's not really great news for us. I think what realistically is happening is that the cost to make these goods are increasing, and they're passing that on to us, which is not great, but it's logical. It's logical. It's a business. They're going to want to keep their profit margins, but the profit margins are expanding. So I don't know what that means. Are the price increases outpacing the cost to make the goods? Are we willing to pay more? And therefore Louis Vuitton is like, yeah, let's just keep increasing the prices. Kind of like the way Chanel is doing, which I won't get into because I'll start getting really, I'll get a little annoyed talking about all the Chanel price increases. But my point is, as an investor, if you're looking at this through the investor lens, you're seeing revenues are healthy, stock price has tripled in less than 4 years, profit margins are really good, profit margins are expanding, and as far as I see it from a consumer standpoint, Louis Vuitton as a brand is still very strong. The other thing that's interesting is there aren't a whole lot of competitors in this space. So you may be thinking, what are you talking about? There's so many competitors. There's so many luxury designers out there. True, but if you actually Google LVMH brands, you will see the entire list of who they own, and you may be surprised that a lot of the brands that you thought were competitors are actually part of LVMH. They're all part of the same group. So, for example, if you shop Dior or Givenchy or Fendi, they're all brothers and sisters of Louis Vuitton. They are all part of the same company. By the way, if you shop at Sephora, if you're a big makeup person, another reason you may want to consider investing into LVMH, because Sephora is part of them, right? They own Sephora. So there aren't that many competitors. The ones that I can think of are the Kering Group. The Kering Group is very similar in that they have a conglomeration of brands. They own Gucci, Balenciaga, Saint Laurent, Bottega Veneta, and others. And also Hermes is publicly traded. It's trading at about $75 a share, I believe, right now. And then, of course, there are other companies like Chanel, Goyard. I can go on, but they're not publicly traded. So I don't know if it's fair to say that they're true competitors when we're looking at just in the stock market kind of space of investment opportunities. There are other companies like Tapestry. I don't know if you've heard of Tapestry, but they own Coach and Kate Spade. But historically, not always, there's always this like unpredictable X factor when it comes to the stock market. But generally speaking, it seems like companies or businesses that are tailored to more high-end luxury consumers fare economic downturns a little bit better than their mid-tier or mass market type competitors. So, for example, if you look at Coach, Kate Spade, they're really not doing so well, at least not recently. And it looks like when there were recessions or economic downturns, those companies definitely got hit a lot harder than companies like LVMH. So just something to think about. Obviously, we'd have to research it more to have a better understanding, but I just wanted to throw that bit out there. So other things that we need to consider, aside from just like the pure financials and then how much we love the brand, but recently LVMH announced that Louis Vuitton has opened 2 new facilities in Texas here in the United States, and a lot of the classic bags will be made from there. So like the Neo Noe, the artsy bags, the Neverfulls, the Palm Springs backpacks, they will be made out of Texas. So you will see a Made in USA stamp versus the Made in France stamp. So how do you think consumers overall will feel about that? Will that bother them enough to turn them away? Or will that increase sales because more Americans will get into the brand? We don't know. These are all X factors. When I say X factors, it's like the wild cards. We can't predict really. Even professionals can't predict. And then again, the Tiffany & Co. acquisition. We don't know how that's going to go. Is that going to be a good thing for LVMH? Is it going to hurt them in the end? It was a costly acquisition, so we'll have to see. The other thing is Bernard Arnault, who is a really phenomenal person. I actually did a little bit more research on him after reading this article, and he's got a really interesting story. Like I said, I'm happy to make another video and share all about him if you're interested. But he's currently 70 years old, and I'm sure at some point he will retire or step down or what have you. And we don't know who will succeed him in his role. He has 4 children who are actively involved in the business currently. He has a 5th child who I believe is just coming out of university and will likely join the family business. Will there be a struggle? Will they all have drama around who succeeds their father? Or will it be very easy, smooth, clean cut, and one will rise to that position? And whoever does rise, will they take the reins and do just as good of a job as their father has been doing? Or will they be better? Will they be worse? These are all questions that are just kind of swirling in my head that I want to share if you also are considering potentially becoming an investor in this company, LVMH. So yeah, I wanted to again open up a dialogue around this, this topic of investing and money management. I have very strong points of views on living below your means, saving, paying down debt. I have lots of points of views. I don't know if they are popular points of views or not, but they work for me, and I just have my own personal philosophy around money management. Just because I purchase luxury goods does not mean that I'm wasteful or I spend my money without being thoughtful about it. I'm very mindful. I am very meticulous with my money management, and a lot of people in the past, my friends and family have asked me for advice, and I'm always happy to be super transparent and offer my advice with the caveat that I am not a professional, so just take it for what it is and make your own informed decisions. But I do hope that this video was interesting. And I am actually really excited to follow up with another video all about the history of Louis Vuitton and the background of this man right here, because like I said, he's got a fascinating story, and I wonder if it will create a greater appreciation in us to enjoy our Louis Vuitton products, knowing just the history. Kind of like Chanel, a lot of people are drawn to Chanel because of the history and the heritage behind it. So let me know in the comments below if that's something you'd be interested in, and then I can put that on my list of things to film next. And I would love to know your thoughts on this video. And if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.